Good morning, everyone. We are back. Welcome to iAM Live. Oh, what a great day it's been.
Yay.
Morning, good afternoon, depending on where you're tuning in from. We are glad to be back with our guest this morning, Mark Wojcik with East Park Avenue, and we are ready to dive into some great conversation and chat about all things talent, recruiting, people, just all the fun things that we have on the agenda this morning. So, welcome, Mark.
Hi, thank you for having me. Good morning.
Good morning. Awesome. Well, say let's go ahead and dive in this morning. And Mark, let's kick it off and tell us just people that don't know you, what you do, how you do it, why you like to do it, and what brings you here with us today.
Yeah, so thank you for having me. I tell folks that I'm a recovering headhunter. Okay, I worked in the industry of fee for hire transactional recruiting for a better part of a decade at a major recruiting and staffing firm. So, growing up in an industry where you eat what you kill, and the money you make, the commissions that you make are based off of filling jobs for companies that can't seem to fill the vacancies on their own. They don't know where to look. They don't know how to close the deal. They can't seem to find people. They have too much volume. Whatever the case, they hire an outsourced third party to get it done for them. And for a hefty fee. I made a good living, right? Capitalizing in most cases financially off companies who didn't know what to do. So in 2020, during COVID, the dog days of COVID, an HR leader came to me and said, Mark, we really need your help filling some of these jobs. We just don't have the budget to do it, though. And we're not getting these jobs filled through our traditional methods of Indeed, posting, and Career Builder. Mark, could maybe I hire you to come into our office for a day or two and help us figure it out? Maybe give us a bit of training, maybe give us some coaching, maybe whip our hiring managers into shape a little bit. And thus the idea was born. No better time to start a new business in a niche market than during COVID pandemic, right?
Right. Yes, well, it seems to have worked out pretty well for you, I would think then.
Yeah.
You saw an area in need and capitalized on it at the perfect time.
So for 5 years now, we've been supporting small and mid-sized businesses with just that: training, coaching, and consulting for recruitment. We work with growing businesses to help them reduce the biggest impacts to their growth, which is turnover, timelines, and terrible hires.
Yeah.
See, many SMBs that we work with, they want to be self-sufficient. They want to attract, engage, and secure top talent. But just a few pieces are missing, whether internally there's misalignment between the recruiting team or the human resources leader and the hiring managers themselves. There's misalignment between the public, the candidate base, how to attract talent, how to engage them, decision making.
Right.
Those are the things that impact their growth, and those are the things that we support growing companies with.
It's interesting because the market has the talent market talking since COVID, let's go back 5 years, even a year or two before that. I mean, there has been no balance. Would you say in your experience, it's always been that way? Or do you think us from the outside looking in, myself and Deanna, hiring managers, leaders who have spent years, working with recruiting managers, being that hiring manager that, are being interviewed by the recruiter of what you need and what you want. It's either the pendulum's one way or the other. It seems to be like there's all, all the talent is, has the reins to the horse, or the other way, that all the organizations, which is where most people would say we're at now, have the reins to the horse. Do you foresee it, or have ever seen it just kind of in that happy medium?
Yeah, throughout my career, I have. It's like a roller coaster. I have 15 years in the industry. I've seen the shifts between a candidate's market, a hiring manager's market, a company's market, right? And somebody's got the power. There's always this battle for, okay, there's so many jobs, not enough people. There's so many people, so many great people. We can do whatever we want with talent because there's so many great people. And it fluctuates, and it fluctuates depending on the industry. But what I'll tell you is the most common thing, and we have a series that we talk about called "Trouble with the Misses." Right? It's something that I hope to never be involved with. Right? Having trouble with the misses, but it's internal misalignment is one of those things. And what I mean by misalignment is that hiring managers rarely put themselves in the shoes of the candidate.
Isn't that true?
For most growing companies, they focus on two things and two things only. It's the starting line and the finish line. They focus on, we have a need and we need to get it filled. And they don't look at the recruiting and hiring life cycle as a winding road with detours and traffic jams and trees across the path and detours that they have to go around to get to that finish line. And that's what recruiting is, y'all. That's what recruiting really is. And so many times they don't put themselves in the hiring manager or the recruiter shoes and look at the transaction through their eyes. So I'd say that's the biggest problem on the whole when you really boil it down, regardless of if it's a candidate's market or a company's market. It's misalignment.
Sounds familiar. We say the same thing with HR tech. We have a problem. How do we fix it? We don't want to go through any of the processes in between to figure out how to get there. We're fighting that battle every single week with conversations. So it's
So
realistic.
I'm curious, Mark, then what would you say are the root causes behind mishires or turnover?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. I always see it's misrepresentation. All right, going back to trouble with the misrepresentation, either misrepresenting the job, misrepresenting the company. Okay. A lot of our clients are in the industrial services, in the trades, manufacturing, construction, industrial services. And many times when you're dealing with a population of candidates who have pre-existing biases about previous companies they've worked for, that things haven't gone well, they haven't been treated right, they had a bad onboarding experience, they're already predisposed to think that this next company is more than likely going to be the same again. Right. So many companies get in this cycle with other organizations. They don't even realize that a candidate comes in, has a poor experience. Oh, they told me the shift was this and it's not. They told me the training was on these dates and it's different. Sometimes it's only one miscommunication, one misalignment of information that the candidate receives to say, you know what, forget it. I don't need this. I'll just go to the next place. This reminds me so much of every other company I've ever worked for. I'm out. Forget it. Misrepresentation and misalignment with the communication to the population of candidates. It hurts you a lot.
So that I would assume then that goes into training on both sides, which is what we opened the conversation with the training from both. And I would say even to take that further, it's even, experiences they've had with previous leaders and previous bosses. And I think of it as, you interview candidates, and if you have those traits, or even as a candidate, if you see those traits, that's a big one as well. I mean, it's like it's triggers essentially, and it triggers them. And then, if you don't have the proper training or you don't know, then you're kind of in a vicious cycle of what you would say, bad hires or bad practices.
Yeah, and another, Dean, I'll go back to another piece of what impacts mishires or short turnover or false starts, as we call it, where the first day where a new employee is supposed to start and they just don't show up, is misunderstanding somebody along the way, misunderstanding the candidate's true motivation. Okay, whether it's motivation to change jobs, whether it's motivation to take their job versus another one. Misunderstanding the candidate's true motivation. I see it a lot with our manufacturing clients to say, well, this individual's out of work. Of course, they want to go back to work and get a paycheck. Duh. All right. That's the thought in the mind. If you're not looking at it through a lens of, well, why us? Why are we so great? Why is what we do and the job we're offering and the situation that we're presenting so attractive to this individual? Why are they motivated? They look at it purely from starting line, finish line. This person on the other side of the table is our ticket to the finish line in the fastest way possible. And then they don't show up. And it's like, well, what was the candidate's motivation? Well, they were out of work. Their motivation is to get back to work. Is that right? Now more than ever, there's resources for people to make money in doing gig jobs part-time work, right? You don't have to take your job necessarily. They could wait a week and say, you know what? I see postings every day on Indeed. I'll just wait till there's a better one. I got enough money to get to next week or 2 weeks from now. I don't have to take your job. That's a big miss from employers.
So talking about misses from employers, let's go through, what we're hearing constantly. The length of the hiring cycle and some of these, the tests that you hear, individuals are taking, your culture test, your personality test, your skills test, and all of these. What do you believe, for the audience? And feel free to pop some questions in the chat, anything that you want to know from Mark. But this could be a fun conversation, the timeline, and also finding that great candidate so that you're not missing. Like, what practices do you go through at East Park, or do you recommend that employers go through to help solve for those?
Yeah, great question. So the Department of Labor indicates that across the board in the US that the average time to hire is 27.5 days, right? And that's across all industries, all verticals, right? It's always changing, but 27.5 days, right? So if the average time to hire is 27.5 days, what are you doing ahead of the, oh my gosh, we have to get somebody in here ASAP, to make sure that it fits within that 27.5 day period? What I see a lot of companies, they make this mistake, is they don't think about hiring. They don't think about recruiting. They don't think about building a talent network, building a talent pipeline until they absolutely have to. Many times they don't know what to do, so they put their head in the sand. I don't want to deal with it. Many times leaders will just offload it to an HR manager or HR leader and say, hey, this is on your job description. You handle it. You deal with it, figure it out. But we need this person yesterday. We need this person ASAP. What we do for our clients is we have a 7-step recruiting and hiring life cycle that takes you from the vacancy all the way to the offer and the onboarding, okay, and everywhere in between. And we customize it for many of our clients. We have a template that we implement for just, any client that says, hey, we just need a template. But we customize it for our clients to fit into their unique culture and their unique environment. But it's a roadmap and a workflow that everybody subscribes to. If you're a new hiring manager, welcome to the company. It's posted in your office. It's posted in your cube. Okay. The hiring guide, the hiring roadmap, 7 steps from the recruiting, and timestamp between 24 hours, 48 hours, 72. Every stage in the process, there's accountability to either the management team, the lead recruiter, the human resources person. Hey, it goes down as nitty gritty as the approval on compensation, the approval on things like cell phones, the approval on things like, benefits or insurance, whatever comes with the new hire. Companies really could stand to have a better hiring experience for the candidate, better recruiting results, if they have a documented, standardized, agreed upon hiring roadmap from beginning to end. So everybody lockstep knows what to do, instead of, hey, I'm going on vacation, I'll be in Bermuda for 2 weeks, but you got this under control, right, HR?
Right. Yep.
Or even worse, the hiring manager. You have the hiring manager doing the hiring as well.
We say that
completely not putting even HR in there or a talent team in the mix. It's just you do it because I'm busy over here.
Exactly. I was at a presentation, a colleague of mine, Nikki Pounds, she's fantastic. I've known her for years. She did a presentation last week with the Society of Human Resources Management on biases. And many people, we think of biases like, judgment or kind of stereotypes, but there's actually the inverse of biases in hiring called the halo effect, where employers, hiring managers find one thing or a collection of things about a candidate that they really like, and they grab onto that one thing, they forget about all the other things. They turn a blind eye to it. They don't want to hear it, don't want to pretend. So they only see and hear what they want to hear. And so they make those hires because of that. And for that reason, we say that some of the worst recruiters in the world are CEOs or presidents of companies. Some of the worst recruiters, because they don't know what it takes. They can't see this full hiring roadmap from beginning to end. They say, hey, congrats, you're hired. HR will figure out the details. You need 150K. Oh, meanwhile, the position was budgeted for 90K. And now there's a misalignment internally. You don't get the hire done. And now there's frustration and tension between the leader and HR. And then somebody gets burned out, HR leaves.
Yes.
So that goes to show that some of these biases and in the workplace on the opposite side.
Mark, to add to that, I would too, your network. A lot of leaders, I've experienced it. We've all seen it. They leave and you take your teams with you.
Mm-hmm.
So you take individuals that are in your network, you take other leaders, other managers that you've worked with, and they go with you to the net. And over a period of 12 months, you've, replaced a lot of the leadership team because you're bringing in individuals that you've worked with as well. I think I'd add that to it as well for the opposite side of seeing what you want to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which I think recruiting in your network, recruiting past performers, it's a great resource. If you got the network, use it. If you got the network, leverage it.
Absolutely.
But I'm still going through the same evaluation process for this organization and for this particular job. We challenge our clients to look at everything in a vacuum. Okay. Look at everything in a vacuum. Yes, this person was a top performer in this situation, in this environment. Not every employment environment is the same. Matter of fact, they're all different. There's not one cookie cutter. They're like snowflakes, employers are. There's not one that's the same. So we encourage our employers to look at hiring in a vacuum. How many times have y'all heard, he or she's good. They don't have to do those rounds of interviews.
Yes.
No, they worked for me in the past. They're fantastic.
Yes. Well, we got some questions coming through the chat here. Mark is asking, what can older candidates do to overcome the age bias? That is a fantastic question.
Yeah. Hey, Mark. Good to see you again. It's been a long time. Thanks for joining. This is a tough subject. It's biases are tough. It's a tough subject to deal with. My philosophy when I'm coaching job seekers, which I have a personal network of job seekers that I coach as a service offering, but I also give this kind of tutorial to many job seekers as a courtesy for the fact that I've seen this stuff for 15 years. I encourage folks who feel that they're in an age bias situation to own it. I encourage them to own it and to come right out and address it from the very beginning. Whether you're dealing with a frontline recruiter who's just screening and just looking for reason to screen someone out, own it. Hey, I know what you're probably thinking. I might be too overqualified for this job. Hey, I'm sure you know what I know what you're thinking. I might be a little bit late in my career. But here's what I prepare to do. Here's how long I intend. Here's what I can give. Here's what I did last season, last year, last month. I can run circles around some of the people that are in this job now. I've forgotten more about this industry, about this trade, than some of the people on the staff will ever know. Right? I encourage that confidence in people that feel that they're impacted by the age bias. Okay. And to focus on the here and now. Too many employers make this mistake of looking 2, 4, 7 years in advance. Well, they're not going to be here in 2032. Really?
You might not be here in 2032.
We might not be here tomorrow.
Right.
We might not be here tomorrow. So I encourage folks that feel they're impacted by age bias to come straight out, have the confidence, and have the conviction to address it head on. Yep. Get that elephant out of the room and get it out of the person's head and tell them exactly what your expectations are. I know I was at a director before. Look, I've been there. I've done that. I'm at this level now, and this is where I'm happy. And here's why. Here's why.
Absolutely.
I love that across the board. I love that across the board. I mean, even for myself, because Jen calls me the VP of all things great. But part of my role is talent and recruiting for our team of consultants. And I love it when people just get ahead of the curve. And even if it's not age, it could be like where you live and why that might be a factor or anything. I'm like, if you just, bring it up, face it head on, and then tell me why I should not let that be a determining factor. Like I'm for it. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
It does. And showing that confidence. I mean, that's always, you're always going to win when you're showing confidence in your
I see it. I see it a lot, especially from some of my female colleagues that feel they're just hiding from that question. They're hiding from that. And you got to realize in interview situations, we coach our recruiters and we coach our our hiring managers on this stuff too. Guys, we're in the business interviewing, recruiting, hiring. We're in the business of doing something that we were taught as little kids by our parents is like the number one thing to not do. Talk to strangers. It's like the number one rule you learn as a little kid. Don't talk to strangers. So this stuff is uncomfortable.
It is.
We don't know what to do unless you're doing it all day, every day. It doesn't come naturally. And to inexperienced recruiters, we train them to address some of these things. To inexperienced interviewers or folks that are worried or uncertain about biases, like you handle the uncomfortable thing for the recruiter who might be uncomfortable with saying it or not sure if they might get in trouble or it's illegal, right? So many companies, especially in manufacturing, they tiptoe around things that they feel are not ethical or politically correct or it might be illegal. And they remove the human element from the interview conversation. They remove the human element, but it's natural because you're talking to a stranger. It's natural.
Absolutely. That's a great takeaway too, is to remember we're all human. So TJ has a question in the chat. Where does the concept of predictive hiring, utilizing a behavioral assessment designed specifically for that job, fit into the recruiting, hiring, and retention process?
Question.
Yeah.
Quite the question, TJ. Yes.
Yeah, great one, TJ. I see this often with small, mid-sized companies that, the president or CEO has gone to some Vistage group, sorry to name drop, but other, organizations that have think tanks for CEOs or masterminds for CEOs. And they say, well, we need predictive index or we need Myers-Briggs, and nobody gets hired unless they got an X, Y, or a Z on this assessment. And then when I'm conducting what I call a total talent review, and we're looking at some of the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, a SWOT analysis of their recruiting and hiring. And I ask the leader, I say, hey, what's the thought behind this assessment? What are you hoping to uncover? What are you hoping to find? What are you going to find with this? And many times they can't really answer. It's like, well, that's just kind of what we do across the board.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And, we use those as a judgment, as a benchmark. And what I see is that many companies, TJ, I don't hope this is the answer you're looking for, that I see many SMBs that truly use it as a scapegoat for non-effective interviewing practices. They're not sure what to interview for. And they're hoping that this tool, this magic silver bullet, is going to tell them whether they should or shouldn't hire. It's this magic 8-ball. Should I hire the person or no? Okay, good. I don't have to make the decision. The assessment made it for me. So we encourage our clients to always, if you're going to incorporate any type of assessment, any type of tool, personality profile, etc., is there needs to be a reason for it. There needs to be something specific that you're looking for as a thumbs up or a red flag. But in reality, I see those tools as more of an onboarding tool. Okay.
That's
folks,
exactly what we use it for. Yeah.
Using these tools as a way to, how do we manage this person effectively? How do we get this person the resources, the support they need, the flexibility, the encouragement, whatever it is, not as a screening tool, but as an onboarding aid. How do we set them up for success, knowing the type of person that they are?
That's exactly what we do on our team. I mean, Jen, you took one when you joined us. I took one when I joined, but we use it to say, we like this person. We're going to move forward with them. Let's take this assessment. Let's understand how we can all work together. Like, what's our communication styles? How do we meet in the middle and grow with this person so that we're not butting heads down the road for some reason? How do we understand each other better so that we can create harmony on our team? We do, like, our entire team does like the DISC assessment, which is a really simple one. And it just tells you, kind of your style in leadership or in just how you work with other people. And it really helps to understand, oh, Jen's an I, so it means she's going to want to be chatty and not just jump into business, but I'm a C and I just want to get down to business. So it helps to like soften that so that you just understand each other better. So that's how we use assessments.
So many leaders take that one letter and they kick somebody out of the interviewing and hiring process because of that one letter. And then they start over from scratch. And that 27 and a half days turns into 37 and a half, 47 and a half, 57. Meanwhile, you're paying overtime. Meanwhile, people are getting burnt out, frustrated, rumors, and you're back where you started, if not worse.
Yeah, it's great. Well, TJ wants to talk to you after this webinar, Mark.
Sure.
So
yes, we'll connect, and we'll put Mark's contact information, and you can find him on LinkedIn as well. Excellent.
Sure.
We have a few minutes left. So, Mark, the question that I'm sure I'm going to guess that you get asked all the time is, we can't find good people. How do we find good people? Like, they're just not out there. So I know we've touched on a lot, but as we close out for our last few minutes here, unless we have more questions in the chat, toss them through there. I had a choice. I can go to that question, or we can talk about AI. Which one do you want to nab here?
No AI, please. No AI.
Right? That's the two.
Well, what's funny is that this is actually an AI generated webinar. I'm not really here.
You're not physically here, right?
I'm at another event. This is AI. When we hear this all the time.
All the time.
We can't find good people. No one wants to work these days. No one wants to work these days. I've heard it. If I've heard it once, I've heard it 1,000 times. We can't find good people. Our philosophy in Recruiter Pro training, our philosophy is a little, you could call it consultative, you could call it psychological. But my first question when they say we can't find good people is, what is good? How do you define good? Okay. Write it down. Tell me how you define good. Now I'm going to ask somebody else in the organization.
Yeah.
What is good?
And this misalignment, right?
What is good?
Misalignment.
What is good?
Yes.
What is good? What is good? What is good? What is good? So yeah. I wish there was some data, because I do have some data from SHRM and from LinkedIn that supports that nearly a third of hireable candidates are lost somewhere in the hiring life cycle.
Oh, yes.
Either they get dropped out, they get passed up on. Deemed qualified, hireable people are lost, slip through the cracks. And many times it's because either the hiring manager has this one concept of what good is, the team that's doing the frontline recruiting doesn't. Maybe there's discomfort between the relationship of who's the frontline recruiter and the hiring manager on what good is. So now they're overthinking it, and they're screening out resumes of candidates that may otherwise be qualified, because now they're in their head. There's no uniform, standardized metric for what good is. Okay. In our program, we have a candidate ranking metric, which breaks down into key categories. We encourage our clients to build talent personas of acceptable candidate personas, breaking it down into candidate circle, candidate triangle, candidate square. And if they fall in all three of these buckets, they all have their own strengths and weaknesses. There's good things and bad things about each one. There's areas of improvement, areas of opportunity for each one, but they're all deemed hireable. So getting on the same page with all parties involved in the recruiting and hiring life cycle before going to market. That way you don't get the, oh, we haven't found any good people. We can't find good people. Oh, how many applications did you have? 72. Really? Not one good candidate out of 72 applicants?
Yep. Excellent.
It's a bit of a look in the mirror. So some
it
clients
absolutely
don't like to hear it, but it's the tough love that they sometimes need to hear in this market.
It absolutely is. Well, Mark, I could talk all day and chat as we do. I've known Mark for a little while now. Definitely reach out, connect with him on LinkedIn. I mean, these conversations are always fruitful, such great information for all of us to know as we're leading and hiring and working with our candidates in the marketplace, both ways. Mark, tell everyone how they can find you.
Yeah, LinkedIn at Mark Wojcik. Our YouTube page, our public YouTube page is at Recruiter Pro Training on YouTube for some educational and recruitment training content. LinkedIn's the best way, or at epatalent.com, www.epatalent.com.
Excellent. Awesome. Well, thanks everyone. Great conversations in the chat. We will be back, and have a fantastic day.
Thanks,
Bye.
Jen. Thanks, Tina.